In this video, I'm going to show you how to get set up with index fund investing on the platform Trading 212. So once you've downloaded the app, you simply just need to click sign up, and then it's going to ask you for your country of residency. So I'm just going to put UK for this example. Then it's going to ask you 4 different options. Now, these different accounts are going to be dependent on your country of residency. So this is just for the UK. Now, I want you to look at the invest and the stocks ISA options. These are essentially the same account. The only difference is being an ISA, it's got that tax efficient wrapper around it. But essentially, in terms of what you can invest in, they're exactly the same. You've got the cash ISA at the bottom, which we're not going to touch for now. And then CFD in the middle stands for contracts for difference. This is essentially trading. You're hedging whether a stock's going to go up or down. You can also use leverage alongside that. We're not going to touch that today. We're simply just going to focus on standard sort of investing, obviously index funds. I'm going to use the stocks ISA for this example. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to deposit funds. Now, you've got a few different options that you can use to do this. The easiest option is just to use a simple bank transfer. So where it says instant bank transfer, all that will do is just link to your banking app on your phone, and you can simply then just deposit straight from it. That's free as well. You'll also see an option for you to use a card or Apple Pay. But as you'll see there, it also says that there's a limit of up to £2,000. And then after, there's a 0.7% fee. I wouldn't advise using the card. You can obviously to start with, but obviously you don't want to be getting that fee going forward. So just use the bank transfer. When you go to click on that, it will ask you an amount. Now you can invest as little as £1. That's all you need to do to set up your account. Once you've got the set up and you've deposited your funds, then the first thing is to do is to look for a fund. So all you're going to do is click on the search button at the bottom of the screen, and that's going to take you to this page. Now, on Trading 212, you can essentially invest in virtually any major stock in the world that you want. If you've got a particular interest in a specific company or stock, of course you can go down that line. But for this video, I'm going to show you how to get set up with a basic index fund. I'm not going to give you advice on which specific index fund to invest in. I'm just going to use an example of what this would look like. As you can see here, it's going to give you things like most traded, big tech, for example, top movers. Then you'll also see an option here, most popular ETFs. So I'm just going to click on this one now. You'll see a bunch of different options. Like, for example, here you've got Vanguard, you've got S&P 500, you've got iShares, you've got a few other Vanguard ones. Some of these are like FTSE All World shares. Your first decision essentially is to decide what market do you want exposure to. Do you just want like a global index fund that's going to cover obviously the whole world? Do you want to be more specific? So like here, one of the most popular ones is just the S&P 500, which essentially tracks the largest 500 companies in the US. For this example, I'm just going to use that fund just because it generally is one of the biggest funds. The next 2 options you've got, you'll see there's 2 options there. So if I just click into this top one here, this has got a code of VUSA. Now this is Vanguard's S&P 500 fund, and in brackets you'll see DIST. Now that means distribution. So obviously all those funds inside this index are going to be paying out dividends. Not all the companies, but a lot of them will be paying out dividends, right? So all distribution means is that income is going to be paid out to you on a regular basis. The other option, if you go back to here and then click on the second one where it says ACC, that stands for accumulation. So you've got 2 different fund types. You've got distribution or income paying out fund, or you've got accumulation. Now, this is where that income is reinvested back into the fund for you. So if you're just looking to, grow your fund, grow your portfolio over time, and you're not too concerned with, having that dividends and income being paid out to you, you can do it manually yourself. So, you can have that income paid out and then you can obviously, reinvest. Some people just like that approach, gives them a bit more control. Or if you just want a bit more of a hands-off approach and you just want to, let it accumulate and grow over time, just opt for the accumulation fund because it's already then reinvested back into the fund for you. So you don't need to worry about, any of that. So once you've decided what fund you're going to buy, simply you just click on buy. Now you're going to get given 4 options here. You've got market, limit, stop, and stop limit. For this example, we're just going to cover market. The others are essentially, if you were to put in like a target. So say, for example, you're looking at the stock price and you want to set like a bit of a, a target or like a limit order where if that price comes down to it, then you'll buy into it. That's, a whole nother video of going into that. But for this, it's just what we call market, which just means you're just going to buy that fund at the market price at that time. If it's the weekend, it will just buy it on the next available trading day, essentially. So what you can do in Trading 212 is to buy fractional shares. So you've got an option to either do value or number of shares. So you can buy as little as £1. So £1, and that will give you 0.011 shares. You can, if you wanted to, buy an exact number of shares. For example, here it will say 1 share is £84. For most people, they're just going to put a value in. So you can select an exact number that you want, okay? Once you've done that, you go into your click review order. It's going to show you what you're buying. So you'll see shares value £1, this number of shares that you buy, commission is free, and then obviously the total. You can click send buy order, and that's going to go through. That's going to come out of the funds that you deposited earlier. So once you've done that, you are now a proud owner of an index fund. This example, the S&P 500, just to show you what it looks like in the app. So I do have this fund myself. I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. So you'll see, for example, here I have 7.46 shares. Rough amount is £630. You'll see the graph there, which can show its performance over time. Obviously, you've still got the option to buy more. You can buy it as many times as you want for different amounts each time. That's absolutely fine. It will show you what your return is. It will show you what your average price that you've bought at, and then obviously what the current price is now. A few other bits below, you got some sort of news, social events, that kind of thing. You can set up price alerts to alert you when the price is a certain amount, and you'll see stats, for example, like what the range is on that given day, and also what a little bit of a longer term range is. So for here, you've got 52 weeks, so you've got the yearly range as well. Show you what sort of volatility is as well. You can play around with some of these settings of how it looks. Now, the other thing is to look at is regular investing. So obviously we've just looked at investing manually, like once off, which every now and again, fairly straightforward, right? But what if you just want to, automate it? You don't want to think about it. Well, you can also do that too. Now, trading 2-on-2 have what we call pies. So I'm going to give you an example of what a pie looks like, just using one of my own. So you're going to come into your account. You're going to click on pies at the bottom. I've already got one invested, but I'm just going to show you what create a new pie would look like. So say, for example, we just want to invest in just that index fund. So we're going to click on create pie. Now it's going to give you two options. It's going to say choose a ready-made pie or build a custom pie. The ready-made pies are ones that are already created for you from fund managers that are associated with trading 2-on-2. You're going to have a mixture in there of different strategies, different risk levels. It could be worth looking at, but if you just want to automate, creating your own pie, you're just going to click on build custom pie. Now you could add as many instruments to this as you want, and it could be a mixture of index funds, it could be a mixture of stocks. It's totally up to you. If you want to just have one, that's absolutely fine. You can have 100 if you want. Again, absolutely fine. So you're going to click on add instruments. You're then going to find the fund exactly the same way that we did the first time around. So we're going to come down to here, Vanguard S&P 500 accumulation, and we're going to click add to pie. We're then going to go back to our pie. Now, you can either at this point add more funds or stocks to your pie, or simply you do is click plus and you go and search for another one. Now, I'm just going to show you what it would look like just having one in the fund. Next, you're going to give it an option. So you can create your pie, and then what you can do is to either manually invest into it, or what we're looking for this example is auto invest. So we're going to click auto invest in this option here. Then we're looking for, okay, how much do we want to invest initially? Again, you can do that as little as £1. Then you've got a few different options. So you can look at how often do you want to invest into this fund? Do you want this just to go in on the same day every month? Do you want to do it on a weekly basis? Or do you want to do it every 2 weeks? Quite a fun option that I quite like doing is daily. So if you click daily, for example, here, you can then select an amount that you want to invest daily. Say you want to invest £10 per day. The number of years I wouldn't pay too much attention to. All that's going to change is just the projection you see at the top. So in this example, it's saying if you invested your £10 per day over the course of 5 years, this is roughly what you could expect to get. And obviously this is just a projection. It's just just an idea. And also all the investments just come out of your cash that you've already deposited, and you can set up your regular investments into that as well. So once you've done that, you then simply click next. You're going to name your pie. For this example, we might just say S&P 500 because it's just one fund in there. And then you're ready to go, and you can click fund pie. So just to give you an idea of what it would look like if you were to add more holdings into the pie. So this is just an example of what I've got set up as a pie. So you just go to your pie, you click holdings, and then you're going to see all your funds in there. So for example, I've got that Vanguard S&P 500. I've got another index fund here, and then I've got a number of other individual stocks. And you can see the percentages next to them. For example, that index fund, the S&P, I've targeted as 40%. The next one, I've got a defense contract ETF, which I've put at 15, and then I've got a few others which I've just set at 5%. And you can select different percentages of that, and you can rebalance it. You can put in different your percentages, amounts. You can play around with it however you want. And then with that auto investing, when you come to do that auto invest, it will automatically split that auto investment into the specific percentages that you have set up inside that pie. So there you have it, a really simple way of getting set up with index fund investing on Trading 212. And if there's any questions you got, just drop a comment below and enjoy seeing that portfolio grow.